I'm Virginia Miller, a deaconess of the United Methodist Church. In terms of social issues, I was, of course, very young and not too aware of it, but it was right after World War II, and in fact, I remember much of World War II. We were in a rural community, a very much farming community. My family went to United Methodist Church, in fact, because the gasoline was rationed and the United Methodist Church was much closer, and we walked to church. In my community, though this church was on a 7-point charge, we had some terrific pastors. We had, in those days, probably 12 to 15 young people in our youth group between the ages of, say, 10 and 18. So, and we had a lot of caring parents that saw that we had as many opportunities as possible in our small community. As we grew older, though, I remember our pastor got us involved in all sorts of things beyond the local church that he could, giving his limitation of 7-point charge. But one person I remember very well that I got to know was not a deaconess, but known then as rural worker, which was a program of national division and the local church. She took early retirement from being a school teacher and came to work in this area doing Christian education and many things, and she was such an inspiration to us, not just the things she did, but the things she got us busy doing. It was a real blessing to us. She was such an inspiration that we wanted to do what she had been doing. And so in this small country church, both my sister and I have since become deaconesses, and we had one person become a pastor from that church. But we first wanted to be rural workers. That was our only sense of what a profession in the church outside of pastor was. And this meant working with mostly rural people in community organizing and Christian education and many things. And so we followed that point. And somewhere gradually, I guess when I was in school, I learned about the wider Deaconess Fellowship and what it meant, and its support and enriching our lives. I was already working then in Western North Carolina in Avery County, doing Christian education and some community development with, I think there were 16 small churches, three pastors, so I was a part of that team. I'm not sure what the greatest joy was. As we grew together and I grew in the faith and could help others, I think was greatest joy. Things changed gradually though, and I had several appointments in Western North Carolina, but I had just moved to Cherokee County when tornadoes came through and destroyed a whole swath of territory, churches, people, and so forth. After that, United Methodist Committee on Relief had changed from overseas relief to doing disaster work here. And because I had been so active in that flood recovery, they helped call me and several others to put together the program of disaster response. And I was one of the first staff people to work on that. And that has been the last 21 plus years that I worked, employed. That doesn't mean I've stopped working, but to see that program grow in the very first years I was in that, and I would call an area that had a major disaster, the usual response I would get from the pastors or superintendent was, it didn't hit any of our people, or it didn't hit our church buildings. To, by the time I retired, they started planning, now how can you help us with this, this, and this? And the United Methodist Church was one of the lead actors in the long-term recovery of people, spiritually, emotionally, as well as physical. And that took me 21 plus years, and it's still going on. First of all, I am thrilled that the deaconess is no longer seen as Caucasian in the U.S., that we are seen as people of service. Second of all, I would like to say to each deaconess, please be careful to use a balanced life of both spiritual, emotional, and physical growth.